If you're in any of these ranks in Marvel Rivals, you have massive room for improvement. But here's the thing, I'm not just another content creator telling you to get good. I've reached the top 0.1% in Fortnite, have hundreds of hours in aim trainers, and have used the same methods to break into high elo in Marvel Rivals through pure solo queue dedication. Aside from solo queuing, I've also helped multiple friends hit gold this season already so they can claim that Invisible Woman Blood Shield skin, and we even did it in 2 hours for one of my buddies. If you're not at the very bottom of Bronze 3, it could take you even less time. Let's address those secret pro tips videos that promise instant rank ups. You know the ones, just click heads or position better, or just play the game. When I was going through Bronze, these tips were about as helpful as Groot giving English lessons. What does position better or don't die even mean? You think I'm purposely trying to die? Real helpful, right? If you're watching this, you're probably someone who genuinely wants to improve, whether you're aiming for the leaderboards or just want to dominate your current rank. I started at the bottom in Marvel Rivals just like many of you. No pre-made teams, no carries, just pure solo queue grind. And no offense, but my friends were no help, so I had to go solo. I guess they like touching grass more than me talking about how my team isn't capping the point. Anyway, I'm going to share exactly what's worked because unlike those other guides, I've actually climbed through these ranks. A lot of these pros actually climbed with other pros to make it to the top. A lot of them didn't go through the solo queue grind as a quote-unquote normie, but I have. But first we need to address what I call ranked tunnel vision. It's those mental blocks keeping you stuck in your current rank. One of the biggest ones? My teammates are holding me back. If you've thought this while watching your Spider-Man swing into a 1v5, trust me, you're not alone. One thing to keep in mind is you are the only constant when you progress from match to match. You're the common denominator. As long as you're performing just slightly above average, you're already creating an advantage. And no, I'm not talking about insta-locking Thor and trying to 1v6 the enemy team like you're in an Avengers movie. Now about this triple strategist meta everyone's obsessing over. Yes, it can be powerful when executed properly, but here's what no one's talking about. At most ranks, basic team coordination beats meta slavery every time. I've seen 4 DPS comps absolutely demolish perfect team build simply because they understood their win conditions better. Think of it like this. A coordinated Iron Fist and Black Panther duo will outperform 3 uncoordinated strategists any day. Before we dive deeper into team compositions, we need to fix your fundamentals. And no, I'm not going to tell you to just aim better. We're going to break this down into actual actionable steps. First up, watching your replays. I'm going to use the G word here. I guarantee you'll spot mistakes you never noticed in the heat of battle. Maybe you're using Storm's ultimate at the wrong moment, or perhaps you're playing magic too aggressively without support. When reviewing your gameplay, focus on one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself trying to fix everything at once. Maybe you notice you're using Iron Man's abilities on cooldown instead of saving them for key moments, or perhaps you're playing Magneto too far from your strategist. Whatever it is, identify one clear mistake and focus on improving that specific aspect in your next few games. This alone will elevate your rank by at least a tier, but probably several. VOD review. It's incredibly underrated. You will have action items you can take away from watching even just 1 or 2 matches, and I know the vast majority of you are not VOD reviewing, which is okay. That's a normal thing to not VOD review, but if you do want to improve, this is a very quick and easy way to be able to spot mistakes and be able to improve. If you're finding this guide helpful, consider subscribing. I create weekly Marvel Rivals content including guides, improvement series, and more, not just cherry-picked montages of me winning games with Invisible Woman, though I do have those too. I'm just kidding, that's dumb. Let's break down the most common mistakes I see at each rank, and trust me, I've seen them all. Bronze players, treating every hero like a prime target. I've seen Magic players trying to 1v1 Hulk in close range. I'm not joking. That's not what her kit is optimized for. Magic excels in taking down unsuspecting duelists and strategists, using ultimates in already won or completely lost fights. That Doctor Strange ultimate isn't going to save you when you're down 4 players, more than likely. Playing too passively with aggressive heroes. Your Groot shouldn't be hanging back with your team. He should be creating space and getting in the enemy team's face. Biggest tip, if you use your ultimate to win you the fight or prevent losing the fight, you will rank up out of bronze. If you only focus on one thing, this is one of the easiest and direct ways to rank up out of bronze. Use your ultimate to win you the team fight and claim that point, move the objective, or prevent losing the point. and you will rank up out of bronze. Silver players, over-rotating for objectives while leaving their team exposed. Yes, moving the objective is important, but abandoning your strategist to enemy dive isn't the play. Zoom out. Are your strategists too exposed? Do you have duelists like Storm or Winter Soldier who generally play well with the team instead of going on flank quests like Psylocke and Black Panther? Make sure they have the support they need. Follow up when they get enemies one shot. This alone will change the tide of a close game. For ultimate tracking, you can't position your Punisher aggressive when the enemy Luna Snow and Mantis have their ultimate ready. That's just feeding with extra steps. Mistiming ability cooldowns. Your Storm's damage boost is great, but not as much when your team is already back at spawn. Biggest tip, same as bronze, I promise it works. If you time your ultimates better than the other team, you will rank up. You can have below average aim and less kills than the other team. If you have smarter ultimate timings, you will rank up. Gold players, this is where things get interesting because players start developing mechanical skill, but their game sense hasn't caught up just yet. Over relying on meta compositions without understanding why they work. Triple Strategist isn't an instant win button if you can't coordinate ultimates. For target prioritization, yes, that enemy venom is annoying, but ignoring their strategists is like trying to cut down a tree from the branches. Resource management issues, using all your mobility abilities to engage means you're basically sending your hero a 2-second delayed death sentence. Another example, if you're playing Hulk, you don't always have to jump in, wait until you're 200 HP and then bubble yourself and then jump out. You can jump in, do some damage, and jump out before you need to bubble, saving that bubble for a crucial moment to protect your teammates from an ultimate or really anything for that matter. That's 100 additional HP they didn't have before. Biggest tip, the big obvious stuff matters the most still. Similar to bronze and silver, use your ultimates at the right time. This can't be overstated. You'll also see players use their abilities a bit more in gold, although nowhere near perfect. This seems obvious, but trust me, it's not. The majority of gold players don't play the objective in the right way. If you focus on keeping the point or moving the objective and plan your ultimates ahead of time, you'll climb out of gold. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a 3/4 HP Magneto or a Doctor Strange leave the point and give the enemy team a free 20% simply because they weren't focusing on what will win the game. I've seen countless matches on both sides where the opposing team will have more kills across the board, but the lower kills team wins. Why? They played the objective. They ulted at better times, even if it was on accident. That's how they did it. This is the biggest takeaway from this video right here. Ensure your team has control of the objective at the beginning of the match. Ult to counter the enemy or to improve your momentum or prevent a loss, and you will climb out of gold. Platinum players, overconfidence and mechanical skill leading to unnecessary duels. This is where this kind of starts to take place. Your aim might be great, but taking 1v1s against Star-Lord while he's getting heals or can zip behind cover to a health pack, that's generally not the play. Minimize your 50-50s, meaning if it's a coin flip between who attacks first or who hits one more shot than the other person, try to minimize those engagements. Use more cover. People stand wide out open in Platinum even if you've never played it before. Watch top Valorant players for an idea of how much cover you can take while still looking for skillful engagements. I've never even downloaded Valorant. You can learn a lot from it though. I've seen quite a bit of Valorant clips. Watch a little bit of Valorant. Inconsistent ult tracking. At this rank, you need to be thinking about enemy ultimate status like it's your job, because it is. Are you catching the trend yet? Ultimates are incredibly important at any rank. They can swing games in a matter of microseconds. Poor adaptation to enemy comp switches, sticking to your comfort pick when you're being hard countered is just ego playing, not smart playing. You're in Platinum, not a top 500 player, and that's okay. If you are 5 and 6, let's say on Squirrel Girl, it's time to consider switching to something more impactful. The scoreboard isn't everything, true, but for certain characters, it gives you an idea. Think about it. How many games have you won when all of your duelists went negative in KD? It's not impossible, it's just more difficult. And biggest tip, aside from ult timing, which is still your biggest priority, focus on taking smart engagements in this rank. If your Doctor Strange is focusing the backline, but can't quite get the job done, help him out by focusing the same target he is. 2v1 is always better than 1v1. If you notice the enemy cloak and dagger is tunnel visioning, healing their Vanguard. Go on an off angle and flank and distract them, or ideally take them out. You can still consistently do this to the same players over and over again in Platinum. Now let's talk about how to actually fix the most common issues holding you back. First up, positioning. This isn't just about finding the high ground or staying with your team. Damage heroes. You need to be constantly asking yourself 3 questions. Can my strategist see me? Do I have an escape route? What cooldowns do I need to save for the next fight? For damage heroes, can my strategist see me? This isn't just about line of sight. You need to understand strategist ranges and limitations. Your Mantis can't heal you if you're wall climbing a Spider-Man 3 zip lines away from the team. And no, spamming I need healing won't extend their range. Position yourself so you can easily and quickly peek in and out of your strategist vision. Do I have an escape route? Here's where most players mess up. They think having abilities off cooldown means they have an escape, but a real escape route means having both. A path to your team that doesn't require using mobility abilities. And for the second, you would ideally have at least one mobility ability saved as a panic button. For example, if you're playing Magic, don't use both of your stepping disc teleports to engage. That's like throwing away your parachute before jumping out of the plane. Don't do that. What cooldowns do I need to save for the next fight? This is where the real strategy comes in. Let's break this down by specific scenarios. If you're playing the Punisher and the enemy has a Hulk and he's taking a fancy to punching you in the face, try saving your zipline for him so you can reposition. You can already have your zipline down and just press a button to engage with it. Getting caught by the green guy's ultimate without an escape is basically pressing a back to spawn button. Against dive compositions, save your crowd control abilities. That flashy play you want to make, it won't matter if the Black Panther is freely destroying your backline. Track enemy ultimate status and save your counter abilities. For example, if you're playing Winter Soldier and you know the Doctor Strange has his ultimate, or you're pretty sure, save your bionic hook to pull him away from your strategist. And don't be that player who uses all their mobility right before a major ultimate comes out. These aren't always ideal situations or scenarios, but you as Winter Soldier getting ulted by Doctor Strange is quite a bit better than him ulting 3, 4, 5 your whole team. Support strategist heroes. Unlike DPS who focus on securing kills, your job is enabling the team while staying alive. Yes, you absolutely want to do damage when your team is in good shape, but you need to ensure your team is, in fact, in good shape. Here are your critical positioning questions. What threats can reach me, and how do I control space? Position behind natural cover that blocks enemy sight lines while maintaining vision of your team. You don't need to be wide out in the open healing your team usually. Strategists are always out of position in any of these ranks. Create safe zones by threatening enemy approach angles. Your presence should make enemies think twice. Track enemy dive paths and cooldowns. That enemy Thor's patience will run out eventually. Standing alone as a support is like bringing a healing potion to a Hulk fight. Cute, but ineffective. How am I enabling my team's win condition? Track both teams' ultimate economy. This determines whether you play aggressive or defensive. Position to support your multiple teammates simultaneously. If you can only see one teammate, you're probably in the wrong spot. Save key abilities for actual threats, not poke damage. Your cloak and dagger ultimate is wasted if it's just healing chip damage. Create opportunities for your DPS without overcommitting your resources. What cooldowns are critical right now? Try always keeping one defensive ability ready. Getting caught without escape tools is sending an engraved invitation to the enemy team. If you're Invisible Woman, hold on to your double jump to go invis for the uh-oh moments. Save counter abilities for enemy ultimates. Your team needs that Invisible Woman. Force physics push to drive Moon Knight away from your team when he's trying to ult the point at the last second. Don't let that happen. Position so your escape ability actually reaches safety. Having an escape means nothing if you're cornered. Vanguard heroes. Now let's talk about our frontline champions. Your positioning questions are completely different. How do I create and hold space? Position to deny enemy sightlines while maintaining vision of both teams. Create choke points that force enemies to deal with you. Use your presence to split enemy formations without overextending. Remember, you're not invincible. Am I actually protecting my team or just feeding? Maintain positions that threaten enemy DPS while staying in strategist range. Create distractions. Taking damage isn't always bad, but taking damage without purpose is. Track enemy crowd control abilities. Getting stunned as a Vanguard usually means your backline is about to have a very bad time. Use health advantage to pressure objectives, but know when to back off. What resources do I need for the next fight? Save defensive cooldowns for actual threats. not just poke damage. Maintain enough resources to counter enemy engagement tools. Position so you can quickly return to protect strategists if needed. Track enemy ultimate economy. Your defensive abilities might be crucial for surviving their next ultimate combination. Team coordination between roles. Let's talk about how these roles actually work together, because proper coordination is like a well choreographed dance, except with more explosions and fewer jazz hands. Vanguard Strategist synergy. Strategists should position slightly behind but offset from their vanguard, creating a triangle formation with DPS. This is a general rule. This is definitely not set in stone. Vanguards need to track their strategist cooldowns. If your Loki just used his regeneration domain, the green healing pools, play more conservatively once you need more health again. Create micro rotations where vanguards briefly fall back to get resources from strategists before re-engaging. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, there's no way I can get a gold rank Groot to retreat at an optimal time. And that's fine. Anticipate that though. Learn your vanguard's playstyles if you're a strategist and complement them to the best of your abilities. Nothing works unless you do. Be the reason your team succeeds. DPS strategist dynamics. If you're a DPS, you should always have a mental map of your strategist's position. Think of it like an invisible tether, which may or may not have invisible woman on the other end. Strategists need to communicate when they're reloading or low on resources, or when to group up. A simple fallback ping can save lives. If you're on voice, this is even easier. Create crossfire positions where strategists can heal DPS while DPS pressure enemies trying to dive supports. Re-roll positioning. Think of it as a triangle that constantly adjusts based on the threat level. Vanguards create space, DPS exploit that space, strategists preserve everyone to maintain that space. When rotating, move as a unit, like a deadly game of follow the leader. Ultimate economy. We've mentioned this earlier, but this right here is where games are won or lost. Let's break down the most effective ultimate combinations and when to use them. These are general rules, but here's an outline to get started. Save your crazy healing ultimates for counter engagement, not just healing. Track enemy ultimate economy and save at least one defensive ultimate when possible. Layer defensive ultimates. If you're playing Mantis and you also have a Luna Snow, who is ulting first? Don't ult at the same time. This hurts more than you know. Not only is it possible you lose that fight if you mess up, you will also be down an additional healing ultimate in your next fight, making it that much more difficult. This can be easy to avoid. Let's talk about something that matters more, but also less than you think. DPI and sensitivity settings. And no, I'm not going to tell you to copy your favorite pros settings. That 800 DPI you're using because some streamer uses it, that's outdated thinking. For lower latency, you'll want higher DPI. I use 3200, I'm not joking. My overall sensitivity, or for those who know what eDPI is still relatively low, but here's the key. Your effective sensitivity still needs to feel comfortable to you. Just know channels like Rocket Jump Ninja recommend 1600 to 3200 DPI. You can get as nerdy as you want with this, like saturating your polling rates, but here are a few quick points. The key is maintaining the same effective sensitivity, eDPI, while increasing your DPI. So for example, if you're using 800 DPI with a 5 in-game sense, try 1600 DPI with 2.5 in-game sense. Another tip, there's a great chance your eDPI is just too high. We're used to insanely high sensitivities due to work and school computers. You want to barely move your mouse and it flies across the screen to complete the tasks that need done in those environments. I get it, but you need more control in games like Marvel Rivals. My eDPI is around middle of the road when compared to pro gamers. I have an in-game mouse, horizontal and vertical sensitivity in the game of 0.6 each. And once again, I'm running 3200 DPI. If you multiply your in-game sense and DPI together and get a number wildly higher than mine, which is 1920, consider lowering yours. If yours is 20,000 or something, that's incredibly high. There are tons of educational eDPI videos out there if you want more info on this. Everything we've covered today, from role-specific positioning to team coordination to technical settings, it all comes down to one thing: intentional improvement. Every death should teach you something. Every loss should highlight an area to work on. Remember, position with purpose, save resources for actual threats, coordinate with your team, and for the love of Stan Lee, stop blaming your team for your missed shots. The difference between average and exceptional players isn't just mechanical skill, it's game sense, awareness, and adaptation. If you found this guide helpful, consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed this video, you'll love my 10 advanced Marvel Rival tips video I recently uploaded right here. Until next time. And remember, if you're still stuck in bronze after this video, well, at least you'll have better positioning while you're there.